Welcome back, guys. Let's get straight to the stories. During my junior year of high school, I had my first relationship with a senior named Mike, who attended a different school in the neighboring town. We connected through Facebook and started talking, eventually becoming boyfriend and girlfriend. Since we were both young, our dates were simple and mostly involved going for drives, grabbing burritos, or hanging out at his place. Mike was a bit of a hothead and hung out with a mixed crowd, including stoners and regular students. I didn't meet many of his friends as we mostly spent time just the two of us. However, as time passed, I started developing feelings for a boy named Andrew from my own school. Feeling uncertain about my feelings, I decided to take a break from Mike. When I tried to discuss it with him, he became angry and refused to accept the breakup. He even punched the car dashboard out of frustration. Scared, I wanted to leave the car, but he insisted I stay. However, as he drove, his anger escalated and I became more frightened. Eventually, I managed to get him to stop the car and my mom came to pick me up. Mike later sent an apology, but I didn't respond. A couple of nights later, I noticed someone following me while walking to Andrew's house. The person in a black hoodie seemed eerily familiar, and I suspected it was Mike. I panicked and ran to Andrew's house, where I felt safe. Later, I experienced more unsettling incidents, such as receiving calls with no caller ID and spotting Mike's car parked outside my house at odd hours. My parents got involved and had a serious conversation with Mike's parents, warning him to stay away from me. After that confrontation, Mike stopped trying to contact me. Eventually, I started dating Andrew, and this whole experience taught me to be cautious of red flags in relationships. Let's move to the second story. When I was around 10 years old, my dad, who had been sober for a few years, met a woman named Casey. They both worked at the same job and supported each other in their sobriety. Our relationship was finally improving, and he had an apartment where I would stay whenever I wasn't with my mom. Casey lived in the neighboring complex. I remember meeting her at the dog park near our apartment, and she seemed nice enough. Gradually, she started staying with us more often, and it felt like she practically moved in, though she still had her own place. Something that bothered me was that Casey insisted on cleaning my room all the time, which made me upset because I prefer things organized in my own way due to my OCD tendencies. Time went on, and I learned that she was pregnant. While I was happy about having a little sibling, I became worried when I noticed her smoking despite being pregnant. Eventually, my dad broke up with her, leaving me shocked and confused, but I was still looking forward to having a little brother. Soon after, my dad got back together with his ex, who is now my stepmother, Ashley. During a visit, we found out the baby was going to be a boy. The last time I spent time with Casey was when she took me out for ice cream. My father was unaware of this, but later he asked me to block and delete her from my phone. During our outing, Casey mentioned that she wanted to name the baby boy Asher, but couldn't do so because it reminded her of Ashley. The situation took a crazy turn when Casey texted my father, claiming that she had lost the baby. We never heard from her again after that. She told my mother that my father made her leave her job, where they had met, under false pretenses, and also accused him of neglecting the doctor's appointments, which wasn't true. The most bizarre part was when my dad asked for pictures of the sonogram, and Casey ended up sending him random sonogram images she found on the internet. Overall, this woman traumatized a 10-year-old girl, lied about being pregnant to reunite with my father, and showed herself to be a manipulative person. My dad was fortunate to have ended things with her. I can't fathom why anyone would lie about being pregnant like that. In conclusion, Casey's behavior was terrible and manipulative, and I'm glad my dad made the right decision by breaking up with her. It's shocking that someone would go to such lengths to deceive others. Let's get into the last story. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more stories. Let's start. I'm sure many of us have experienced the troublesome ex, but mine took it to a whole new level of creepiness. A few years back, I was in a long-distance relationship with a guy named Peter, who was 17 while I had just turned 19. He wasn't a nice person, often showing his true colors after the initial impression. Eventually, the abuse became too much and I ended the relationship. However, he wanted me to be the one to say the final word so he could play the victim. After some back and forth, I agreed to return his belongings and we scheduled a meeting. However, I was cautious not to be alone with him due to his mood swings and controlling behavior after learning about my new relationship. On the day of the meeting, I received a call from him claiming he had been waiting at the train station for an hour. My boyfriend and I decided to meet him there to hand over his things, but the station was empty. He texted that he saw us but refused to come out while my boyfriend was present. We left his belongings on a bench and told him we weren't interested in a meeting. Later, he claimed to have left a gift for me in my mailbox, which worried us that he might be lurking around my apartment. Thankfully, there was no sign of him, and we decided to ignore his attempts to contact us. However, things took a dark turn when his older brother called, concerned about Peter's disappearance along with one of his brother's gas pistols. That day, my boyfriend saw police officers investigating the exterior of our apartment building. It turned out that an unnamed young man from Peter's town was arrested for attempting to rob the pizza place I lived above. He was armed with weapons and claimed he was there to visit his ex, which was me. The police found a bag with a mask, fake papers, and a wig thrown down the staircase near our front door. After the incident, we hoped it was over, but 2 weeks ago, I received a declaration of love from a fake email account signed by Peter. The entire ordeal still haunts me, and I share this story to raise awareness of the potential dangers of toxic relationships and how vital it is to seek help and support when needed.